I've often said that it's an honour to be able to be part of FFL, because it's like sending little love letters out every day. As soppy as that sounds, that's how it feels.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Foos Files, the podcast for fans of the Foo Fighters. It's Dan here, I hope you're all doing well, and we've got another interview episode this week. I'm talking to Kirri Liepins from the independent fan website Foo Fighters Live. For those of you who listened to episode 1, you'll recognise her from that, and today we've got the full interview. One little bit of Foos related news this week, or at least as I record this, because I'm pre-recording a few days ahead due to some personal commitments, so hoping there's no other major announcements or bombshells or anything like that in the meantime. But Luke Spiller from the Struts has been ramping up the promo for his new solo album, and on Friday he released his new song Angel Like You, which features Taylor Hawkins on the drums, which is just lovely. It was apparently recorded in 2021 and was originally put forward as a possible theme for the James Bond film No Time to Die. Ultimately, they missed out to Billie Eilish, who went on to win a Grammy for her track. Nevertheless, it's heartwarming to get some new music that Taylor was involved in and carrying on his legacy, really. Now, moving on forward to this week's episode, I'm joined by Kirri, head writer and Instagram curator at Foo Fighters Live, which is just an extraordinary archive of Foos material run by 3 fans from different continents. Kirri's from Newcastle in Australia, a couple of hours away from Sydney, and it was great fun finding out how the FFL team do it all. Not a lot gets past them when it comes to Foo Fighters information. But I also really enjoyed chatting to Kirri about her past career as a music journalist in the early 2000s, which for me was really a golden period of guitar music, especially from that Australasian region, because you had Aussie bands like the Vines and Jet, then you had the Datsuns and the D4 from New Zealand too. Really memorable period for me. Oh, and if you hear a couple of very brief bits of background noise, don't worry, it's not a glitch. Kirri has a very adorable dog called Honey the Pug who was listening in on our conversation. So here's my chat with Kirri from Foo Fighters Live, and I hope you all enjoy it. Kirri, thanks for joining us on the podcast. How are you today?
I'm fantastic. I hope you're well.
Very well, very well. Nice and early, but never hurt anyone, did it? So, yeah.
I don't know. I don't want to know about anything before 8 a.m. So, no, don't talk to me about that.
You're talking to the wrong person, then, unfortunately.
Morning, people.
Yeah. So, first of all, do you just want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yep, sure. I am the writer and Instagram curator for Foo Fighters Live. I've been doing that since, I want to say, 2016, 2017. Outside of Foo stuff, I'm a counsellor and I did a bit of disability work, and I'm living, as I said, living in Newcastle, Australia, and oh yes, as relevant to Foo Fighters Live, I used to do wore a hat as a music journalist.
Excellent. Well, we're going to unpack some of that shortly. And you mentioned you're the head writer and Instagram curator for foosfilespod.com, which is an absolute treasure trove of Foos information, particularly when it comes to live shows, as the name suggests. So do you want to tell us a bit about the site and the Instagram page, and more specifically about what you do?
Well, I wish I could take a lot of credit for the treasure trove that Simon Kilmore has put together. He's done some tremendous work with researching and asking the right people for the recording and performing history. My role is to write a lot of the articles and reviews and a lot of the news roundups that comes every so often. And about a few years into me doing that, Simon asked me if I wanted to take over the Instagram, which was technically in existence, but not really doing much of anything. And so I leapt at the chance, and yeah, we found a whole bunch of fans and led a community over there.
Great stuff. If we go back a couple of steps, then you mentioned that you worked as a music journalist, which is the sort of forerunner to you doing this stuff with Foo Fighters Live.
Yes, I actually studied music business. Yes, that's actually a course you can take, about 2002, 2003. And through that, I made a couple of connections, a few friends, and I started as an intern, but ended up working for a couple of local music magazines. The one I stayed with most was U-Turn, Hi Cat, if you're listening. And when it came time for Simon to expand and look for someone to join the team, I put a couple of those articles together and sent that to him. And yeah, it went from there.
Can you remember which articles you sent him?
I wrote articles covering artists like there was Josh Kelly. There's an Australian act called the Screaming Jets. I don't know if they did any business in the UK, but here in Newcastle, Australia, they're like we're proud parents of the Screaming Jets. Let's just say that.
So when's this? What period are you talking?
2002, 2003.
Okay, because there's a bit of a boom around Aussie sort of indie music around that time, wasn't there? Because you had like Jet and you had, was it the Vines?
Yeah, and I might have interviewed the Vines, and there was Evermore. There was Lifehouse. I don't know if you remember them.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lifehouse was actually my very first interview, and Weird Al. How could I forget that? Weird Al. He was my favourite, actually.
Okay, I'm pretty sure I had a Lifehouse song on my wedding playlist. I'm digressing here. Did they do You and Me? Was that them?
That was them.
Yeah, because I don't know if you know the British comedy show Gavin and Stacey. It's used in quite a famous scene in that, and we love that show, so we ended up using it. So there you go.
I think I might have caught an episode of that. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I'm all over that sort of early 2000s guitar music scene, and Australia and New Zealand actually had some really cool bands, right?
I think that was a great time to be on the internet as well, because we had, well, frankly, we had Napster and LimeWire and things like that, and that's when a lot of the music blogs came out, and people were hungry to find new music that wasn't being played on the radio, or maybe it was and they wanted to find out more, or related artists. And that was an excellent time, not just to discover new music from around the world, but there was a thriving local scene too.
So this led to you getting on board with Foo Fighters Live, and it's a small team, as you mentioned, that produces all the content, operates the site and the social media. I believe there's 3 of you, and you're all from different continents as well.
Yeah, we're all separate. There's myself in Australia, there's Simon in the UK, and there's Curtis in the US, or Kurt. And we're a small team at the moment. I believe we might be looking to expand the team at some point, but there hasn't been much discussion about that. But that we seem to be covering all the bases at the moment. And with FFL, just like you, I started out as a fan of the site before I even dreamed of being on board.
And I mean, you mentioned you provide news updates when relevant, when there's band activity going on. But the real beauty of the site is the sheer depth and detail of material when it comes to recordings, set lists, any other information you want to find out about gigs, live performances, studio sessions. And you've got well over 1,000 recordings now.
I think 1,600, I believe, by the time of publishing. Sure. And we've still got some more coming up.
Amazing. Well, I think keeping on top of a band like the Foos, it's not just the band themselves, but they're such hardworking musicians in terms of the number of solo projects and side projects. And when the Foo Fighters aren't doing something, Dave will be playing drums on someone's album, and Chris will be doing his thing, and Josh has played in just about every band in the history of rock music. So there's quite a lot to keep on top of, isn't there?
Oh, I didn't think anyone could work harder than Dave. He reckons he sleeps about 3 or 4 hours a night. I say 1.5 hours, considering how much he gets done. But then we meet Josh Freeze, and I I don't think he sleeps at all. I think he just walks around with toothpicks in his eyes to keep himself awake with how much he manages to pack in.
Well, you guys work pretty hard yourselves, looking at the amount of content that you churn out. So how did three of you go about, A, staying on top of it all, and two, like maintaining the accuracy as well, because you're pretty meticulous, aren't you?
Well, a lot of that, I believe, comes down to the generosity of the people that we are able to contact to help us corroborate the information and who give us some additional data and like fill in a lot of blanks that we don't have. Barrett Jones, for example, has been a tremendous help with the website in the past, I believe Simon said. And we've had photographers, other engineers and studio techs who have been more than happy to discuss that tech geek side of it, which it turns out a lot of other people enjoy too. So if it weren't for them, the site, I think it would be great, but it would not be as great.
Excellent. Great that you've got that buy-in from collaborators and all, as you say, all the people on the techie side to help you corroborate that information.
Oh yeah, it takes a village.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, during the recent tour, I'd wake up early, and whether after there'd been a show, whether it was in the UK or it was on a different time zone in the US, and I'd open up Instagram, as I invariably do first thing, and Foo Fighters Live would come up, and you'd already either have a clip or some set list news or anything about one of the guest performers, like if Shane or Violet had performed with them, and that had already be there for after the gig had been the night before, which is pretty incredible to wake up to in sort of breaking news.
Admittedly, that is now my morning routine. I will make a strong cup of coffee in a mug the size of a horse trough, and then sit down in front of either my phone or the computer and just see what they've done in the time that I've been asleep. And sometimes it's annoying when they've debuted a new song, such as Unconditional, and I wake up and I go, oh, I missed it. Damn you. But it's also, I don't know, it's routine, but it's also, I never get tired of it. Seeing what they're going to do next.
Yeah, and then you've got to find a clip of this. We must hear this new song. Must have a good clip from somewhere, I guess.
Well, thankfully, the fellow fans as well have been so generous with that material, even though Instagram was wanting to make it more and more difficult to connect and find this material. The fans themselves are actually starting to send it to us now and share their videos and send it to us like within minutes of the show being over as they're leaving the car park. And I will never not be grateful for that generosity.
Yeah, well, there's upsides and downsides to phones at gigs, as we know, but you've got the upside there, haven't you? So,
oh yeah, there's some strong opinions about phones at concerts, but quite frankly, I am, like I said, I'm grateful, and I fully believe in the spirit of sharing.
Absolutely. So, onto yourself and your love of the band. Everyone's got a story about how they first discovered them, how they got into the Foos. What's yours?
I suppose I'd always liked them on one level or another. Of course, I was hearing their music everywhere and recognised them. And actually, I know the first song I ever heard of theirs. This Is a Call was on there's an indie radio station here called Triple J, and they always have the hottest 100 every year and release that compilation. And This Is a Call was on a cassette that I had as a kid, and that song would always rev me up. Later on, Of course, I loved the Learn to Fly video as a kid. I thought that was just the funniest thing ever. I think two things caused me to, fully commit and cross over to being a full-blown fan and fully buy in. They both happened around the Wasting Light era. What a good time for them, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
First, it was the counter-protest of the Westboro Baptist Church. I thought that was sheer brilliance.
Ladies and gentlemen, God bless America. Land of the free, home of the brave. It takes all kinds. I don't care if you're black or white or purple or green. Whether you're Pennsylvanian or Transylvanian, Lady Gaga or Lady Antebellum. It takes all kinds.
second was Dave at the iTunes festival telling the guy fighting in the crowd to get out. And that's when I sat up and really paid attention. I thought, okay, well, here's a band I can get behind. I'm picking up what they're putting down. And from there, I just looked into them more, and before I knew it, I was hooked.
Look at me. Look at me. Get the fuck out of my show right now. Get the fuck out. Get the fuck out of my show. Get the fuck out of my show right now. You don't come to my show and fight. You come to my show and fucking dance, you asshole. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, and you've covered some distance, haven't you? Following them, I mean, following a band round a country the size of Australia, that's no mean feat, is it? But you've put the miles in.
Well, the farthest I've gone would be Los Angeles, and that was a one-off, and well, for a couple of reasons. But with the Australian tours, there's a few cities I will always go to every time. Shout out to Suncorp Stadium in Brisbane, because they always treat fans so well. We call that the dessert of the tour.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Why is that then? Just a special venue, or
the vibe is great. The staff is so fantastic to us. They actually sit us in a shady area, cool grass with the marquee. They sometimes get misters going. They give us a wall where we can charge our phones. We get refreshments. It's just, VIP treatment, VIP, do something about it, that kind of thing. And, it's much better than, roasting your rear on hot concrete for the whole day with no shade. That's for sure.
And I gather you've got a pretty special experience of meeting Taylor and Cherry Metal when they were there too, right?
Oh, yes. That was during, was it Sonic Highways or Concrete and Gold? Anyway, they brought Cherry Metal in to do a special benefit at Snapper Rocks, which is just on the border of Queensland and New South Wales. And so I saw them right on the beach, like literally standing in the sand. And afterwards, a friend and I, we thought, okay, it's a long shot, but maybe we'll get to meet one of them. And then Chris just, appeared wandering through the crowd like he was, just an average Joe. And yeah, I met him. He's the most laid back dude you could ever meet. Like, you know when you see a celebrity and your heart does a little skip, that kind of thing. You just see him and you just want to put out your hand and go, "Hey mate, how you doing?" That kind of thing. It's just a very easy, relaxed conversation. A few minutes later, Taylor appeared. He was immediately swarmed, and somehow I managed to break through, and I had about 10 seconds in which to just blurt out how much I appreciated him and the music, and just thank him basically. And he was, taken by the shoulder and pulled away before he could say anything, but the look on his face, he melted like snow. It was the sweetest thing.
And you just sort of think of him and that smile, don't you?
Oh yeah, that smile has sustained me through, understandably, some very, very, very sad days now that he's gone.
Yeah, absolutely. Tell us about the Fooseum.
I'm actually looking at it right now, and I'm thinking, I'm going to need a much more sturdy shelf at some point. Yes. Well, that started with just one magazine, I think. It was a special edition of, I don't know what kind of magazine it was, but it's somewhere in the pile. One magazine turned into a whole basket of it, and then I started collecting, CDs, and then vinyl, and expanded into just random merch. I've got the weirdest stuff here. Like, I'm looking at an In Your Honor belt buckle with this guy riding a horse in it. I haven't seen it before, so I don't know where it came up. I just went, I've got to have it. I think actually the rarest item I might have is, okay, not many people know this, but in 2008, 2009, somewhere around there, Dave started a shoe brand called Hooves. And they've released one shoe, I believe, but he has this shirt that he wears with the logo on, with the logo on it, and nobody knows what the logo is. And a friend of his ended up sending me a copy of that shirt. So that's sitting there right now.
That's pretty obscure.
Yeah, I like the weird stuff.
Yeah, and you got a few bits. I gather that like members of the crew and people like that have sent on to you as well.
Yes, I did. On one of my solo trips to the States, I met up with a crew member, and he gave me a bunch of crew tour shirts, and I'm looking here, a couple of pics, some discarded backstage passes, that sort of thing. The Foo crew, I will say, are just as generous as the band themselves.
So the Fooseum, it's not just a shelf, is it? I mean, I've never seen a picture of this, but the way you describe it, you've got a lot.
Well, it takes up a room in my wall, in my room, so yeah. And I'm going to have to expand at some point.
Yeah, keep on growing. So you mentioned about going to LA, and we were talking before we started recording that you did a bit of a pilgrimage, really, with Studio 606 and Sound City and everything. Do you want to tell us about that trip?
Yes, that was in 2014. I'd made a couple of Foo friends in the community, actually, and just on a whim, we decided, you know what, we should all meet up in the States. We should see a couple of key places and just spend some time together and hang out. So the plan was to meet up in Vegas. That was myself, Rach, who did this, the two Send in the Congregation books, and another friend of ours, Jules. We met up there, and we spent 2 days in LA, where Sandy from Sound City was just so sweet. And actually Tom was still alive at the time, so it was Sandy and Tom. We got to meet them both, and they gave us a full tour of Sound City, which was just so special. And afterwards we did a drive-by of 606, and I mean drive-by because I hid in the car. I just did not have the guts to exit the vehicle and actually be seen through a window. I was like, I'm not one of those. I'm respectful. Hello, to go about your business, that kind of thing. Although I do have a photo of the building itself. That'll do. And another time I went to the States, that was the time that I met with someone from the crew. And what was... that was when when after Sonic Highways came out, I made it my mission to visit some of the places that they had visited in Sonic Highways. So, of course, I went to Preservation Hall in New Orleans, and I tried to go to Austin City Limits, but it was, it's obviously closed. But, I still got to, experience a part of that, and get a sense of what they found special about it.
And you attended the Taylor Hawkins tribute as well?
Yeah, that was the latest trip I made over there. That was attending the LA Taylor concert. I'd say that I would put that as my most memorable live experience with them, except obviously I wish it never had to happen. But as it did, it was it was just a sincere honor and a privilege to be there. As weird as it sounds, being someone just on the other side of the rail, it was a privilege, and to celebrate Taylor's life and music that way with being in a room with the people who loved him the most. As for other memorable live experiences, there was a one-off show in Geelong earlier that year in 2022 when they came in the middle of the rains and the floods that were happening along the Australian East Coast. So it's a miracle that they pulled it off in the first place. And I think from what Dave was saying, they only put it together in a couple of weeks. So that was memorable because we danced in the rain with them that night. And for many of us, it was the first big show we'd been to since lockdown. So we were ready to let rip. And so were they. The energy was just electric. So that was pretty special for a few reasons. Unfortunately, it turned out to be Taylor's last show too.
Then about 3 weeks ago, I wake up at fucking 5 o'clock in the morning, as I do fucking at it. And I look at the news, and it says, Australia opening its borders February 21st. I said, holy shit. It's about fucking time. So I copied that link and I sent it to my manager at 5 o'clock in the morning. I said, hey, we're fucking going. We gotta be the first ones down there. We're fucking going.
Something you've alluded to, and it was kind of a huge factor in wanting to start this podcast, really, where it was not just the connection between the band and its fans, which I don't know, it feels different to any other band that I've followed over the years, but also the sense of community and the incredible stories of friendships that people have formed, like between the fans themselves. And you kind of mentioned it, but that's something that's really important to you too.
Oh, absolutely. We think about the community is that, you know how stands come up with the names for their own fandom, their own community. I don't think we've come to a consensus about what we're called, so I'll just say the Foo community. We how do I describe it? We're very spread apart throughout the world, and yet we are very easily connected and united. You know what I mean? I can speak to someone in, let's just say Poland or whatever, within 5 minutes, and we'll just have a shared language of the music and that understanding. And I think what makes this band unique compared to other acts is how the band interacts with fans, and that influences how the fans treat each other, and that's very important.
Yeah, and I mean, we mentioned like how hardworking they are, but that's in every aspect. It's not just the music. They really put the time in every aspect, in terms of, as you say, meeting and greeting fans and just making sure everything they do is just that little bit. They just go that extra mile with everything, don't they, compared to most of the bands that you...
That's it. They don't strive for perfection, and they never pretend to get close, and I appreciate that. I suppose that's part and parcel of carrying the rock and roll torch, but as much as they're solid musicians, it's only that part that they take seriously, or anything close to seriously. Even then, as we've seen with the last few albums, they like to colour outside the lines too, because I get the sense that they don't enjoy the implied restrictions of any one genre. Other than that, they are so much fun. Like, they can laugh at themselves and other people, and no matter how big they get, they still like to take the piss out of themselves for the amusement of everyone else.
Yeah.
Like, we've seen it with, like, easiest example, the Hot Buns video. Yeah, and Michael Bublé showing up, the We're Splitting Up fake out video. I remember the meltdown on like the old Foo board and like on Reddit and a few other places when that was happening. And as soon as it came out, and everyone just went, "You bastards! We should have known you were setting us up for that."
Yeah, is everybody on now?
Yeah.
What's up?
What's up?
Okay, so what the fuck?
It's gone fucking Hollywood.
First he does the Grammy thing, and then he goes on the Oscars without us.
Ooh, look at me. I'm the big guy out front with the guitar. Yeah, fuck him.
Whatever, Dave. I mean, I got ideas too, you know what I'm saying?
I know.
Yeah, I'm thinking David Coverdale.
Let's make Foo Fighters great again.
We gotta get together.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's fucking meet. Let's do it. Let's fucking meet.
As you say, silly stuff like Michael Bublé and Rick Astley and things like that, and they're just things that it's fun. But other bands, it wouldn't look cool to other bands, would it? But like Dave and Co, they just don't care.
Yeah, that's it. I think they're too old to be concerned about being cool. And fair enough, they don't have anything to prove. I was just about to make a nothing left to lose joke, but it was right there. Done. I missed it. Ah!
I was going to say it's too early, but it's not for you. It's too late. Late. It's been a long day for you. Yeah. So.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Excellent stuff. So, is there anything coming up on Foo Fighters Live that you can tell us about, or is it just sort of wait and see?
There will be some developments next year in terms of where we're going to take Foo Fighters Live. It's going to be very exciting. Wait and see for that. Well, we're definitely you can look forward to some more recordings. You can be sure of that. How many and when, I don't know. I can't say, but you can be sure that we're always growing and always trying to find ways to get as much to the fans as possible and for free. And that's the thing with FFL. We will never ask you to pay for a subscription or for members only or anything like that. It's by fans for fans always.
Well, you'll do a fantastic job of it, and well, thank you basically on behalf of all of us fans that follow it and enjoy the content and use it as this kind of treasure trove archive of material, really, for the band that we all love.
Yeah. Oh, thank you very much. It's honestly a pleasure being part of this fandom, and I've often said that it's an honour to be able to do this, to be part of FFL, because it's like sending little love letters out every day. So, as soppy as that sounds, that's how it feels.
No, it's not soppy at all. Thanks to Kirri for taking the time to chat to me and for her support in general over the past few months when I've been putting this podcast together. And thank you once again for tuning in. If you want to hear more from Foos Files, don't forget to hit the follow or subscribe button on your favourite podcast app, and I'll see you next week for another episode.